Gasoline shortages are spreading across the country. Gasoline lines and closed gas stations are becoming increasingly common.
We're all out of high testing regular gas. That's it. The lines are completely around the corner.
What is this? I'm in a line 2 hours there and I can't get gas? This is baloney.
In the 1970s, Americans experienced an energy crisis. It had a big impact on people's lives.
Been in both lines over an hour, and I'm out of gas.
People felt like things were slipping away. There was this sense at that time of total failure.
The cost of living went up 8%, food prices alone 19%.
I just couldn't imagine something like this would happen in America.
The crisis of the 1970s was a wake-up call, and people really started paying attention to energy.
The energy crisis is real. It is a clear and present danger to our nation.
But there's one big misconception, and that was we didn't do anything about it.
Let's set the controls to spin.
Before the 1970s, Americans had a different attitude towards energy.
You can have a central air conditioning system for all your rooms. It's controlled summer and winter by a thermostat.
They saw energy as an unlimited good. We felt like there was plenty of oil being produced here. We had plenty of coal, and people were getting new ways to use energy.
The whole nation has become swift and mobile, flowing along over a great network of highways more than 3 million miles long and constantly growing.
But in 1973, several Middle Eastern countries stopped selling oil to the U.S. to punish them for supporting Israel during the Yom Kippur War.
Saudi Arabia led the other Arab oil producers to use what was called the oil weapon to punish the United States.
The Saudi Arabian oil minister threatened tonight to cut oil production in his country by 80%.
And I think this is not blackmailing at all.
At the same time, the United States imported roughly 35% of its oil, much of it from Arab members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. The ensuing embargo caused oil prices to nearly quadruple and triggered fuel shortages nationwide.
In many places in the United States, measures are being taken now to deal with the crisis. One of these places is Wayne, Nebraska.
For more than a week, most of the streetlights have been kept off. It's an effort to save electricity because the town is running out of fuel to produce electricity.
People were very upset. There was a feeling that things are kind of falling apart.
How much have you got left in there?
None. It's empty. There is no oil.
President Richard Nixon, already under public pressure to resign because of the Watergate scandal, struggled to contain the crisis.
My point is, the United States of America shouldn't have to depend on any other country for energy.
Nixon talked about energy independence, which led to a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And one of the great incidents of the Nixon administration was when they lit the White House Christmas tree.
There we got it.
And it just had a few little lights on it.
The lights this energy short year only about 20% of normal.
And Nixon said, this is symbolic of how all of us have to conserve energy.
This year we will drive a little slower. This year the thermostats will be a little lower. This year every American perhaps will sacrifice a little, but no one will suffer.
The oil embargo lasted until March of 1974, and the United States anticipated that production would go back to previous levels, but it didn't happen.
When Nixon resigned later that year,
the duties of the office,
his successor, Gerald Ford, instituted new fuel efficiency standards for cars and attempted to mobilize the public through a federal ad campaign.
If we don't pace ourselves now, we won't have enough energy for the long run. Please, don't be foolish.
As President Jimmy Carter entered office, U.S. power consumption was still rising, even as American dependence on foreign oil reached a historic high.
When Carter came into office in 1977, He was following two presidents who had talked about energy independence, but Carter called energy the moral equivalent of war.
The energy crisis is real. It is worldwide. It is a clear and present danger to our nation. These are facts, and we simply must face them.
When Carter grew up in Plains, Georgia, they didn't have electricity. So he preached conservation, conservation, conservation. And that was the message that was there from beginning to end.
I'm proposing a bold conservation program to involve every state, county, and city, and every average American in our energy battle.
But Carter pushed beyond conservation. He formed the Department of Energy, and he envisioned renewable resources leading America into a new energy age, environmentally friendly technologies that would harness geothermal heat, sweeping winds, and rays from the sun.
President Carter had a real fondness for renewable energy, for solar in particular. When I organized the first Sun Day in 1978, Carter went out to Colorado and he commissioned a new solar energy research institute.
Today is Sunday. Americans and citizens of 30 other nations celebrated with fairs, festivals, parades, speeches, and demonstrations. Behind the hoopla in this country, there was a serious purpose, a demand that the government give priority to solar power.
We're trying to get an even break for solar energy in the national priorities of the United States.
Jimmy Carter understood that if you could get economies of mass production and economies of scale for the installation of it, that solar could become very cheap. He wanted to move just as fast as he could.
I will soon submit legislation to Congress calling for the creation of this nation's first solar bank, which will help us achieve the crucial goal of 20% of our energy coming from solar power by the year 2000.
It was a moonshot program, and I was responsible for the institution that had to design the plan to get there.
To encourage adoption, the Carter administration offered federal subsidies and even installed solar panels on the White House.
The president showed off his new solar hot water heating system, the 32 panels over the cabinet room in his Oval Office, and talked about substituting the sun for oil.
No one can ever embargo the sun.
It was bold, and there's nothing like that anywhere else in the world. Unfortunately, it lasted about 3 months into the Reagan administration, at which point they pulled the plug.
Reagan pushed a different approach to the energy problem: deregulation. He encouraged drilling and relaxed fuel efficiency standards. Those solar panels on the White House, they were removed.
We're not merely accelerating the processes of the Industrial Revolution, we're fundamentally transforming them.
But in a twist, it was Carter's early investment in research for new energy sources that helped spur the development of fracking, which allowed companies to extract oil and gas from previously inaccessible shale rock formations and caused U.S. production to surge.
Ironically, Carter invested in oil and gas technology, which led to the fracking technology that we have today. The reason the United States has gone from being 60% dependent on foreign oil in 2005 to being an exporter of oil is because of that shale revolution.
I mean, we're sitting on a mega load of energy.
Fracking simply was a pressure release valve. It caused people not to worry about conservation, not to worry about efficiency, and to have affordable access to abundant fuel.
As fracking made natural gas cheaper to extract, investment in alternative energy slowed. Today, renewables account for around 10% of total energy production in the U.S., half the level Carter had hoped to reach by 2000. At the same time, other countries like India and China have become the epicenter of renewable technology and production, just as the worldwide need for multiple sources of energy has skyrocketed.
The problem is, as we got further away from the oil embargoes, we got complacent.
I'm afraid that what we're going to be doing is creating an America that has to buy the technology that it needs from others, despite the fact that we were the pioneers.